Tell me the story of joining Stick Figure.
Ooh, it's actually a pretty long story. Um,
Welcome to the 2 Minute Podcast. Today, I'm thrilled to say that I'm here with the one and only Johnny Cosmic.
what up?
You're one of my favorite producers in all of reggae.
Thank you.
And not to mention, he's part of Stick Figure, blessing audiences on tour with his vocals and the tastiest guitar licks. That's not to mention the songs that he's written. I gotta say, I'm just very happy to be here with you. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate you.
What is the most rewarding part about being an artist for you?
Creating something beautiful to put into the world, you know? Like, I don't know, we all have the choice of like good or evil or like light or dark, right? Like where we put our energies into. And so I feel like music is one of the things in the world where you can like really create something beautiful and be able to give that back to people and create a lot of times like a medicine, you know?
Yeah.
Music has like saved my life. To be a part of that, to give that medicine out into the world, like to me, that's what it's all about. You know?
Music is medicine for the soul.
Yeah, beautifully said.
What is your favorite part of the song creation process?
There's a magic to when something is a thought, like it's this little spark of an idea in your mind. For me, I kind of like see it, I can see it. Being able to turn that into an actual physical, real thing. It's like the process of creation,
I
you know?
get exactly what you're saying. It's such a magical thing, man. Like humans, we're blessed with this ability. Like this podcast, I just had a thought in my head one night and then here we are,
Boom,
with Johnny
yeah.
Cosmic interviewing, you know?
Right.
It's beautiful.
I think a lot of people experience that through being a parent or something too, you know, creating a life and bringing it into the world. And so like, I think songs are like that in a lot of ways too. Obviously it's different because it's not a human being, but songs are interesting because you can do even more of them, you know?
Yeah.
For like a human being, maybe you can make like a handful of them possibly throughout your life, but for songs and stuff, like you can make thousands of them. So
Yeah.
this process of creation, thought to like reality, like over and over again, I think that's like the best part of it for me, I think.
I wonder what's the high score on humans created?
Right. I mean, that's a good question. I'm curious. Maybe somebody can hit Google up and figure that out.
So I actually looked this up, and there is a sultan from the 1600s who Google claims is the world record holder, fathering a total of more than 1,000 children.
More in the production process when you're in the studio. What are your general intentions going into a session?
To capture the very best of an artist, find like where they shine, to like sense where that is and to try to accentuate that and to try to bring out the most of the song. The lyrics, the feeling, those are the main components. Just to like serve the song. That paves the way for everything else. I like to have all the technicality stuff be secondary to lyrics, melody, arrangement, all those things that like make the song what it is.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Tell me the story of joining Stick Figure.
Ooh, it's actually a pretty long story. It goes back to I was in Chicago, playing in a number of different bands, producing a lot of bands. I was producing a dude named Knowledge Born 07. We made a reggae hip hop album together, which is really badass actually, called Cosmic Knowledge.
Go check it out, everybody.
Yeah. My buddy P Tugs came over. I had just met him at that point, and I was like showing him some of the stuff we were working on that Cosmic Knowledge album. He's like, dude, he's like, this is fucking awesome. He's like, I gotta make some songs with you. I was like, cool, you know? He had this tune he had kind of made, but it was off of like a Jay Dilla beat or something. And it was like he had made it in college and stuff. It was like one of his like college classics, you know?
Yeah.
And so we were like, all right, well, let's try to like re-record it, you know, and like make our own version of it, because it was all based off a sample and stuff. So we thought, all right, we'll do it ourselves. But it had this crazy piano line in it. And I was like, I mean, I can like kind of play keyboards a little bit, but I can't fucking play this. Like, it's like way out of my thing. And I'm like, and then he's like, whoa, he's like, you know, his buddy in his old band is a really good keyboard player, Mike de Guzman. And so he's like, oh, I'll bring my buddy Mike over. He can play it for sure. I'm like, cool. So Mike came over. They started playing right away. I was like, dude, this kid is fucking sick. Like, this guy is amazing at what he does. I was like, I have to be in a band with him. Like, right away, I was just like, I have to be in a band with this kid. He ended up joining the band that I was in, Fluid Minds, and we played for a number of years. He was like, it was like right around the time that like YouTube was like just coming out.
Yeah.
And he was like very like on top of like all the trends, you know, like he was like one of the first kids I knew that would make like performance videos. Like he'd play like his favorite people's songs and then record himself doing it and post it online.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's very normal now, but like back then he was like he was like one of the first people I ever saw do that. And I was like, this is fucking sick. And he did an Expendable song. And they ended up seeing the video and they were like, dude, this is badass, blah, blah. And so when they came to town, every time they'd come through Chicago,
Yeah.
they invited him on stage to play with them
Oh,
because of
dope.
this video.
Yeah.
You know, and
That's so cool.
yeah, very cool. And we were all super excited. And then Pacifier had their keyboardist had just left at that point or something, and they were looking for a keyboardist. And so they started asking like around in the scene,
Yeah.
and the Expendables were like, yo, this dude in Chicago, every time we come through, he comes and plays with us on stage. He's fucking bad.
Yeah.
He's like, you should hit him up. And they hit up Mike, and I remember we were going to South Bend actually to go see Knowledge 107. We were going to do like a little recording session with him. And he was like, yo, he's like, this band Pacifier asked me if I want to go on tour and stuff. He's like, what do you think? I'm like, dude, fucking take it, go for it, man.
Nice, yeah.
You know, like, on a certain level, I was like really sad because he was like my musical partner.
Oh, man, yeah.
But I knew
You looked out for what was best.
yeah, I was like, this is what we've all been working for. Like,
Yeah.
it's like some kind of shot, like some kind of, like, you have to take this. This is like the opportunity that we've been waiting for, you know, and you got a chance to do it. It's like, go do it, you know.
Yeah.
So fast forward like a couple years, he goes on tour, he's doing the do. They record the Start from Scratch record, which is badass.
Yeah.
Great album. I'm like, the band basically fizzles out after he leaves, obviously, because like he was like he was like the linchpin of it, you know, like he was so
Understandable,
talented.
like,
Yeah. It kind of like fell apart, whatever. So there's a couple more layers. So at that point, I'm like, I guess maybe I'm just gonna be a producer, you know, like
Okay.
it's probably not, I'll never get my chance, but I can at least like help other people, you know, like, which I was happy to do too, you know, and so I was producing, and then I had a couple jobs on the side and stuff, and at that point I was working at a printing press. I had to be at work at like 3 a.m. or something like that.
Oh, bro.
And then after I'd get off of that job, then I'd go to the sandwich shop, Potbelly's, to go perform like 5 days a week, 2 hours a day. So I was doing that, and then like producing after that. So I was like grinding hard, man.
Yeah.
And it got to this point where like I was feeling really weighed down, like the
burnout?
work, I was super burnt out. Like my body felt really beat, you know. And so I remember like there was one night, and I was just like praying. I was just like, God, like, give me some reason. Like, please give me like some reason to quit this job. And like,
The next day, Scott called you up and said,
and then no, so you know, like I was in this place, and then Mike called me up 2 weeks later. He's like, yo.
actually, they're kind of like,
Yeah, he's like our stage tech just got hired for Warped Tour, and our backup guy that we usually use can't do it. He's like, and we're like about to go on tour in like a week, and we don't have anybody as our stage tech. He's like, I know you don't like do this thing, but would you be willing to help us out and come on the road? I'm like, fuck yeah.
There it is.
That was, you know, I like found my little opportunity that I was praying for. Wasn't much pay or anything like that, but I didn't care. I called up the printing press. I was like, all right, guys, I'm done. I'm out of here. So we were doing the summer Hotbox tour. This is like 2013. Pacifier was co-headlining with Stick Figure.
Oh, okay.
And so that's where I met those guys. Bong and I hit it off. I was friends with all the guys, but me and Bong like had a good connection, you know. Like we spent some time like hanging out, and like we would play guitar together, and we were sharing like ideas and stuff like that, you know, like like cool. We had like a good connection, you know. And so it's like one of the last days of the tour, and we were sitting there on a bench or something, and we were like, yo, like we should work on something together. You know, it's like, like let's do that when we get back, you know.
Yeah.
And he had just been like
at the stage
finishing up his first album, Hopes and Dreams. And he had a couple things he needed help with, so I jumped in and helped in on that. At the very end of it, he was like just about done. I think he was gonna get the album mastered in like 2 weeks or something. And he was like, well, he's like, the only thing I got is like this hook. It's like, but I don't know what else to do with it. I don't really know. And it was the hook for the first song on that album called Hold On.
Okay, yeah.
And he sang the hook over the phone to me. I was like, oh, dude, this is fucking dope. This is a good song. I'm like, dude, hold on. I'm like, I'll call you right back. And so I hung up the phone, and then I like quickly wrote the 2 verses.
No way.
Yeah. And then I called him back home. I'm like, yo, check this out. And he's like, yeah, that's fucking sick. And I'm like, and he's like, but dude, like I'm gonna have the album mastered in like 2 weeks. I'm like, dude, I'll have this done in 2 weeks. Trust me.
Nice.
And so I got the beat together and like got all that stuff. He recorded his parts and sent it to me. And we ended up finishing the song, got it on the album, and it turned out to be a great tune.
Great tune.
And Scott heard that song, and he's like, yo, can you add like some like percussion and stuff like how you did on that song, like on some of my songs? I'm like, yeah, sure. So he was just making Set in Stone at the time. And so he ended up sending me like 6 or 7 songs off that record. I I went to town on it. Like, so like I didn't just like throw down percussion, like a simple percussion. I was
bet,
like
yeah.
throwing
Couldn't help
tons
yourself.
of like
Yeah.
a symphony of percussion. I threw down like tons of harmonies and guitar parts, and I just was like throwing all this stuff out there, like, and like a bunch of that stuff got cut, you know, but like I was just trying all these different ideas and
Yeah.
whatever, you know, and I think that left an impression on
I
him.
bet.
So at that point, like this is like a couple years later or whatever, Stick was touring and they came through Chicago, and Bon called me up. He's like, "Yo," he's like, "We're gonna be in Chicago tonight. You want to come through?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And came through and we were hanging out, having a really good time. Remember, like I don't know, just having like a blast. I was having such a good. And Scott and I like got a chance to talk about like songwriting, and we were like having this pretty deep conversation about
Nice.
like the meaning of the lyrics and the form, and just writing and all this stuff. And he called me up like a little bit after that, and he was like, "Yo," he's like, "OG from Slightly Stoopid was coming on stage and joining them for like percussion and stuff." And it just so happened that like right at that time I was recording all the percussion on Set in Stone and stuff.
Yeah.
And so they're like, "Well, fuck it, why don't we just ask Johnny to be in the band?" And so then he called me up and, "What do you think about like joining the band? Like, do you think that'd be cool?" It's like, "Yeah, dude, I'm down." And then and then like we hung up. I was like, "All right, cool."
What did
And
that
then,
phone call feel like when you hung up? Were you like,
it was pretty trippy. I didn't honestly know what to expect. Like I was like, "Oh, I wonder if this will actually be real or not,"
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
because there's a lot of times throughout the journey where you like think something's gonna happen and then it doesn't.
Yeah.
That kind of thing happened to me so many times that I got used to just being like
I'm not gonna get too crazy excited?
yeah, you got to kind of keep your emotions at bay. And like
Yeah.
I said to myself, I'm like, when he books the plane ticket, then I'll know it's real. And I didn't hear from him for like a month or two.
Oh man.
And I was
So you
like,
probably thought it was.
yeah, I was just like, whatever. There's, you know, maybe it was just a thought he had, and he was
Okay,
just
yeah.
exploring it, you know.
Uh-huh.
But then he called me again like 2 months later. He's like, "Yo," he's like, "Dude," he's like, "What do you think about it?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude." I'm like, "I'm down. Let's do it." And he's like, "All right, well, our manager will call you." So then it was almost like an interview, you know. Then I was
Okay.
like, he was like feeling me out, you know, like
Yeah.
asking me questions and trying to see if I was like an actual like dedicated individual, you know, because I think they wanted to be someone who's in it to win it, you know.
Yeah.
And so I talked to him on the phone, and I think he got the impression that, you know, like I was down and I was ready to grind and do, you know. And so then they booked the ticket, and I was like, "No way, okay,
Here
this
we
is
go,
fucking
yeah.
real," you know. And flew out to California, and we rehearsed for the Set in Stone tour. The album had like just come out or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then we went on the road, and it's been history, yeah, ever since.
Man, what a story.
Yeah.
What an inspiring story. I mean, for anybody out there that's chasing a dream, like that had all the ups and downs and the not sures and then it all coming through. That's so
Yeah.
inspiring. What a great story. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Thanks for asking. Like, I don't get a chance to tell this very often.
I
yeah.
think people will love to hear it, man. That's really cool. I think we could wrap it up here with one final question. Being out here in this beautiful Camp Navarro, how do you feel right now?
I feel relaxed. I feel happy. I feel grateful. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Man, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Dude, that's it.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks,
That
man.
went great.
Thanks for having me,
I
man.
appreciate you.
Yeah, it was a good.